Welcome to our monthly program Center Stage, featuring impactful cooperative extension-led programs at the local, regional, and national levels. I'm Kelsey Buckler, the Impact Collaborative Assistant with the Extension Foundation. And today you have an opportunity to learn about an NTAE, which is New Technology for Ag Extension, a Year 3 program called Empowering Rural Communities Through Remote Workforce, an introduction to Utah's Remote Online Initiative program. This is led by Dr. Paul Hill from Utah State University, and he's joined by his team members, Dom Bria and Abby Bean. I'll go ahead and post Paul's bio in the chat. Take it away, Paul.
All right. Well, I'm just going to share my screen here. And everyone see that okay? All right. Well, I just want to thank everyone for joining this presentation today and really your interest in leveraging the opportunity of remote work to address community needs. And so in the chat, you've already shared your name, title, organization, city, and state, but I'd really like to know what your connection is to rural. Did you grow up in a rural community? Are you currently living in a rural community? Do you serve rural communities? But please drop that in the chat. Would really like to know, and we'll kind of monitor that as we go. But my name is Paul Hill, and I am an extension professor at Utah State University and program director of the Remote Online Initiative. And I live and work in Hurricane, Utah. It's when you read it, you want to say hurricane, but I've learned in my 16 years of living here, that's not the way you say it. So I live in Hurricane, Utah, and I'm about 5 hours away from our Logan campus. And Hurricane is really the gateway community to Zion National Park, and currently has a population of 21,000 people, which has grown about 120% since I moved here in 2006. But I love it for the lifestyle and the opportunity to raise my family there. And I'd like to also recognize my fellow presenters, Dr. Dominic Bria and Abby Bean, and give them a moment to introduce themselves.
I'm Dominic Bria. Most people will call me Dom, and that's how I like it. I'm the program manager for the Rural Online Initiative, and I live in Logan, Utah. I have an office on the USU's Logan campus. My wife and I moved up here about 7 years ago, and we love the Logan area here in the Cache Valley, which Cache Valley straddles the Utah-Idaho border. That's how far north we are. So anyway, yeah, I've been working on and off remote for quite some time now, and now our team is fully distributed around the state. We're all living quite literally scattered around the state. So it's been a terrific experience. Abby.
Hi, my name is Abby Bean, and I'm the National Program Coordinator for the Rural Online Initiative. I also live and work in Logan, Utah. I'm currently a student at Utah State University, and I don't have an office on campus. I work from home, actually, from my bedroom, actually, as a college student. So it's really fun, and I am an advocate for remote work. So I'm really excited to be here to chat with you guys about that today.
Thank you, Dom and Abby. Again, we're excited to have a discussion with you about the opportunity of remote work as a modern workplace practice and what that means for rural communities. And so while the Rural Online Initiative started in 2018 with really the purpose of serving 10% of Utah's rural population living in 25 counties, we only have like 4 classified as urban counties, maybe a few more emerging, but the research shows that the economic challenges we face in rural Utah are not just unique to rural Utah, because rural areas consist of 97% of our land area in the United States, and 46 million US residents live in rural communities. And as of 2020 in the census, rural residents have made up about 14% of the US population currently. And so now through the piping of the internet and advances in information and communication technologies, USU Extension has the capacity to expand the ROI program to other land grant institutions in order to reach a broader audience across rural America. And so as reflected in our program vision here, we really believe the future looks bright for rural communities, despite some of the challenges we'll go into. But we see a future where residents are not limited by geographic opportunities, but they're able to utilize their skills, and they're capable through the knowledge that we teach in our courses to obtain well-paying remote jobs through reliable internet connectivity. And so now I'd just like to, I've kind of gone through the chat to see some of you are from rural communities, you're serving in rural communities, but please drop in the chat. We'd like to hear from you. Just some of the challenges faced in the rural communities in your state. Even if you're not in a rural community, what are some of the things that that your state is addressing, and maybe we'll go into later how they're being addressed. So Grace mentioned first one up, internet access. Yeah, we talk about that with our program. How are we, how can you teach remote work skills and get people into remote jobs when you don't have the internet? Fortunately, in Utah, we're very blessed to have legislators and leaders who've gone before and have laid that piping of the internet in a really neat strategy, next to roads, and working with telecom companies to help get it out to our rural communities. Again, Brenda put down the lack of jobs, and again, high-speed internet, transportation. I'll keep an eye on that, but I wanted to cover some of the economic challenges that we found from a needs assessment. And so as rural communities face these unique challenges that again are not unique to Utah, it's important to note the role of extension. And so every university within the extension system, we serve to develop programs as interventions that address the gap between what is and what should be. And so as extension professionals, everything we do should be research-based and designed to address the community needs. And based on a statewide needs assessment that was started in 2018 and completed in 2019, the major issues that we identified, and this is specific to Utah, faced by rural residents were, the first was higher levels of unemployment as compared to our urban centers. Rural areas typically experience higher levels of unemployment, and this is followed by a lower economic diversification in our rural areas, just because over time these areas, the major population was during times of extraction, when those extraction industries, as far as agriculture and lumber, timber, and others were more prominent, and over time, as we relied less on, like, say, coal, the economies have become less diverse, and so that has been another significant challenge. We're dealing with young people, typically after high school, ages of 18 to 24, who are leaving to pursue education and work, and so we're seeing negative net migration, which results in more aged population, older population in rural versus urban. And then next, we're seeing a limited, which reflected in the comments, limited well-paying jobs. And so due to just geographic distance from urban centers where the jobs are typically have been created, rural residents are just limited to fewer employment opportunities, and that unfortunately are traditionally low paying. And then higher levels of intergenerational poverty, which is poverty in which two or more successive generations of a family continue in the cycle of poverty, as measured through the utilization of public assistance for at least 12 months as an adult and at least 12 months as a child. And so again, these are challenges that are facing Utah. And so I'm looking through here and looking at where you're from, and these are not unique to Utah. And so again, they're common challenges across rural America. that we get to address. And so with our vision outlined and the needs of our rural communities identified, the mission of the ROI program is to prepare rural communities for the future by first offering research cohort-based courses that are relevant to the current labor market conditions, and then connecting residents to modern employment opportunities and providing personalized career coaching and networking opportunities. And so notice that I haven't specified specialized remote work training courses in our mission, because we realize that remote work is a solution right now, but the practice is becoming ubiquitous and the world can change quickly. And so we stay on the pulse. Our program stays on the pulse of the labor market demands to provide relevant courses for modern employment opportunities. And so currently our program provides specialized remote work training to individuals for success in the rapidly changing economy that we have. And so we help people like in these pictures, we help rural communities leverage existing talent and broadband infrastructure to strengthen their economies without requiring residents or new businesses to relocate. You might have seen some communities taking the strategy of, hey, let's attract remote workers to our community. That's not what we do. This is a human capacity building program and an innovative approach to traditional economic development, usually as remote work applies to more than just high-tech companies. It's a unique strategy for reducing rural unemployment, diversifying economies, and increasing median household income. And so here we have 3 individuals. Julie, she was employed, taking our course, found a new remote job with more flexibility, better pay and benefits. And Maurice was employed, but looking to start a business in e-commerce. And Addie was employed, but seeking more flexibility in her current job. And so as you can see here, taking our course was able to help them level up. These individuals, a few more of our program alum, Barbie, Adam, and Althea, they were all out of work, but were able to find remote jobs with excellent pay, benefits, and flexibility after taking our certified remote work professional course from their rural communities. And so we're able to take what you have, the skills you have, and help skill you up and connect you to find legitimate remote jobs. And so now that I've shared just a little bit about what we've been doing in Utah to address some of the issues facing rural communities, I'd like to know what are some of the things you're doing in your state? I know some states like Oklahoma and Hawaii have made efforts to attract remote workers. Other states are focused on strictly just training. I know there's in Kentucky, they have Teleworks USA, which are entry-level type of remote jobs. But what's happening in your state to support your workforce, to support rural communities? In Utah, we also have extension professionals that address family consumer sciences, health, the opioid epidemic. But please drop some of the innovative programs or just general programs that you have in your state to support rural communities.
Don't see any of those yet. All right, well, we'll watch for some of those. I'm going to take you through some of the history of the ROI program, the Rural Online Initiative. The original idea for Remote Online Initiative, and you'll hear us use that term interchangeably. Sometimes we call it the Rural Online Initiative, and sometimes we call it the Remote Online Initiative, and which we use depends largely on whether we're standing in a rural county talking to people or standing in an urban county talking to people. And so the initial idea for it came before COVID from a county commissioner in rural Utah who was also an entrepreneur, and he tended to hire remote freelancers from all around the world to help with his business tasks, the various tasks that he needed done in his businesses. Well, naturally, he had the thought of what would I need to do in order for people in my county to be able to earn money from other business people like me from all around the world? How do we get that income coming into my county. And so what started as that simple question has now evolved into a full-fledged program in just a few short years. So some of the highlights of our history, in 2018, the Utah House Bill 327 was sponsored by 2 rural Utah legislators and passed unanimously in the House and Senate. And then in 2018 to 2019, we got pilot funding of $2.2 million for a 3-year pilot to prove the concept of a remote work training program in 15 rural counties. And the next year in 2020, the state switched us to ongoing funding because the short-term impacts found improvements. Our short-term impacts found improvements in the knowledge and attitudes, skills, and aspirations toward remote work. Add to that we had over 100 remote job placements in rural counties, and they wanted to keep this project going. And then in 2021, we expanded our program with $1.2 million in CARES Act funding from the Economic Development Administration. And this EDA grant was awarded to expand our remote work leadership course. And so that's a different course than the remote work professional course. And it's to support urban businesses' adoption of remote work and creation of 400 new remote jobs. And so I mentioned earlier that we sometimes call it a remote online initiative, and sometimes we call it the rural online initiative. When we're talking to businesses, we're talking about the remote online initiative because we're helping them to create and convert remote jobs. So let's step back for just a minute and take a second to take a broader look at remote work in general. Have you ever wondered how the office came to be? I'm not talking about a remote office or a home office. I'm talking about the traditional scenario of an office. Have you ever thought about that? And place your comments in the chat. Where do you think the remote office came from? Think about that.
We're starting to see some of the other states sharing what they've from the last question.
Yeah.
The Arizona has a training program for supervisors. North Dakota has become a major focus for remote work. So we're seeing that happen. And then West Virginia started Ascend West Virginia. And there's a payment, it looks like access to outdoor recreation if you're picked. So to attract remote workers. That also is true for Oklahoma and then Vermont. Hawaii, they don't have to incentive. I don't think they're paying anything, but there are few incentives for the cost of living. But I guess, yeah, what year do you think the office was invented?
All right, we'll watch for those. Let me move forward with this. We'll get back to that. So obviously our generation didn't invent remote work. Remote work is really just knowledge work distributed widely. It's between a team, a team of far-flung people, so it actually started during medieval times in physical work environments, and organizations have traditionally operated in physical work environments and since long before the Industrial Revolution. But today, largely because of advances in technology, the work environment of the traditional office has done two things. First, it's shifted away from an emphasis on place or where employees congregate for set hours to work at assigned workstations, and has moved toward an emphasis on task facilitation. And so knowledge work is now more about task performance and less about physical presence. So the office came into being when the world of work involved processing lots of paper, or in this case, we can see the picture it's a painting by Botticelli called St. Augustine in his cell. And you can see that it's very simple. It's just got a desk and quill and he's writing on paper or parchment, and then there's maybe a shelf to store it. And then of course a chair to sit on. So the origins of the modern office lie with large scale organizations of the time. So governments and trading companies and religious orders that needed written records and documentation. And so medieval monks worked in quiet spaces designed specifically for sedentary activities such as copying and studying manuscripts, keeping records, etc. So places of knowledge work didn't really change that much until the late Industrial Revolution. And in fact, is a way to illustrate how little they changed for so long a time. This painting, this St. Augustine in his cell, was actually Botticelli's imagining of what a knowledge workstation looked like 1,000 years before his time, because St. Augustine died about 1,000 years before Botticelli painted this. So now imagine that someone came to you and asked you to build a knowledge workstation or depict a knowledge workstation from only 200 years ago. And imagine how little that would have changed. You'd have a chair to sit on and a desk to write on, quill, parchment, or paper, and shelves. And that's really about it, even as recently as that. So here, what we're seeing on the right, you can see is a fuller view of the St. Augustine painting, showing him in his cubicle. Note the scraps of what would probably have been parchment on the floor. Say what you will about spell check, but I suspect poor St. Augustine would have appreciated having it. So leap forward now to 1906, and you look at the pictures on the left, the three pictures on the left. These three pictures are of the Larkin Administration Building in New York. It was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, who envisioned an office like an open floor factory with few walls. Early open floor, open plan offices followed the principles of Taylorism, which were rooted in the work of industrial engineers and efficiency experts like Frederick Taylor and Frank Gilbreth from Cheaper by the Dozen. Those were efficiency experts, and so they were designed to maximize profit. And by the 1980s, we saw cheap and effective modular walls, which led to a sea of cubicles springing up in office buildings all over the world. The focus was, and still is, on a profit per square foot. So organizations commonly try to cram as many people as possible into office buildings.
Dom, I like the balcony on the picture on the top left. As I understood it, the supervisors would come out and check on the employees that way.
Yep, so they could walk the catwalk above and make sure you were being as productive as they thought you ought to be. And one thing I wanted to notice too, can you back up a slide, Paul?
Sure. Yeah.
Notice that in the Botticelli painting, there doesn't seem to be any exit out of that cubicle. It makes me wonder what Botticelli was trying to tell us about office work. Anyway, so now we live in an era where remote work is quite commonplace, and it's certainly not new. People have been working remotely for quite some time, but I'm curious to know when you think remote work first started. Which each of you would, if you wouldn't mind, put in the chat the year you think remote work was invented, and just drop it into the chat, would you?
Maybe we need to have
2020.
a surprise. 1946. So after the internet.
Oh, some good guesses.
Yep. It's like people are paying close attention to where we're going. So some early 1900s, 1980s. That's quite the range. Who's Googling this? That's what I want to know. I've actually never. Yeah, I'm gonna Google it right now because I don't know what Google would say. I've actually never Googled it. Let's see here. Oh, interesting. Google says, well, in my Google, because we all have different Googles, my Google says 1994 to 1995, which is referencing the public sector. So, yeah, interesting. Okay.
Mike
So
says Google says 1973.
that's it.
Mike's Google says 1973.
Okay. Well, okay. So the concept of remote work, it originated in the US during the 1973-74 oil crisis. And so this crisis came, some of you might remember this. It came as a direct result of the decision by Arab members of OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Companies, to institute an oil embargo, which halted the exportation of oil to the US and other countries. And so two actions by the US administration, it caused OPEC to launch the oil embargo. And the first one was Nixon took the US off the gold standard. And the second was that the US provided military aid to Israel during the conflict with Egypt and Syria. And so as a result, gas prices surged due to the decrease in petroleum supply, which ultimately stagnated economic growth for a time because people just had less disposable income to spend. I don't know if anyone can relate to that right now, but in the 70s, it was like they were talking inflation around 11%. But I don't know, that may or may not, you may or may not be able to relate to that here in 2022. But during this period, the organizational leaders in businesses and government, they were compelled to develop creative solutions to conserve energy while maintaining efficiency levels. And so fuel saving ideas range from carpooling campaigns, biking to work, using public transportation, and a little concept called telecommuting or telework. And so many terms have been used to describe telework, from those terms to like distributed work, working from home, working from anywhere, hybrid work. And these terms essentially describe work done away from a central office. However, they represent different approaches to work away from a central office. And so there's been various definitions, but for the most part, it's remote work is a practice that involves members of an organization substituting a portion or all of their working hours during a week to work away from a central office, typically from home, using it could be a co-working space, but typically from home, but using technology to interact with others as needed to conduct work tasks. And so as a rocket scientist in the US Air Force program back in Washington, D.C. It was the early 1960s, and a fellow named Jack Niles, he performed his job responsibilities from his home in Los Angeles, California. And this was influenced by the influence came from his own work experience, but he expanded this concept of work and as a method for distributing work to workers as opposed to getting workers to the work. And so as a solution for lessening traffic congestion and decreasing energy consumption. I mean, he wasn't the only remote worker, but at the time he's living through the early 70s and saying like, look what I'm doing in California. This could be done. I'm doing work in Washington, D.C. This can be done. He's doing a lot of it over the phone without the internet, but it was working. And so he coined these terms, telecommuting and telework, in 1973. And then he began proclaiming the value and the importance of the idea, which started the telework movement. It was largely accepted by the federal government for national security reasons. They thought, hey, it's probably not a good idea to have everybody in the same location if we were ever attacked. And so Niles, his telework research was originally funded as a project by the National Science Foundation, and it inspired a pilot of a work from home program within the federal government. And in the private sector, American Express, J.C. Penney, General Electric, IBM, Levi's, Sears, there were only a few of the innovative organizations that were motivated to explore remote work in the 1980s. And the logic behind their decision, which is a lot of has to do with what we're dealing with today, is really this logic behind their adoption decision was focused on, yes, conserving energy, but also addressing workforce issues such as talent acquisition and retention. We're seeing that a lot with this great reset of people being accustomed to remote work, having it taken away, come back to this return to the office moment today, and they're saying, actually, I'm going to go, I'm going to find a new job that lets me work remote. And so so these companies largely adopted remote work because they were worried about losing talent, and so they did it as a way to attract and retain top talent. And so, as I mentioned earlier, the office, it came into being. Dom explained that it came into being when the world of work involved processing lots of paper, and the fact that it remained so dominant for so long may actually reflect a market failure. And before COVID-19, the world may have actually been stuck in a bad equilibrium in which remote work was less prevalent than it should have been. We had the technology, we jumped into it, we implemented right away when we had to, but we had the capacity to do this before. It just wasn't, the adoption rates had been quite slow. And so the pandemic represents an enormous shock, which is putting the world of work into a new and maybe perhaps better equilibrium. And so I'd like to know, please drop in the chat what your thoughts are on this. Really like to, some might say, I hated it, right? Some have loved it. But here we are, we might've been in a bad equilibrium, and now things are balancing out.
Right. So now that we're post-COVID world, right? We're, 2 years out. Are we post-COVID? Who knows? But we're in this new phase where people want to work remotely. They want to be able to have the flexibility that remote work offers. By leveraging an asset of broadband technology, we can now bring people to the work from wherever they are, rather than bringing the jobs to the people, like from business recruitment. Remote work has its own unique set of challenges, right? Like, we're not trying to negate that, but these challenges can be mitigated through training. And, in the pandemic, we saw that there were a lot of challenges that people were facing. They couldn't quite overcome them because the implementation of remote work wasn't done gradually. It was, all at once, jumping right in. So the benefits of remote work can be divided into 3 different categories: individual, organizational, and societal. We'll discuss those. So individual benefits of remote work. These include increased productivity and performance, less commute stress, more favorable work-life balance, even a cost savings of about $4,000 per year per person because they're not commuting. It's less wear and tear on your car. You're also saving more time. You also have location independence and ease of time pressure. Also, another savings is time, on average 2 hours per day without a commute. Productivity is influenced by stress, interruptions, asynchronous versus synchronous work, commute time, family problems, and remote work can all help to mitigate these issues. Let's see in the chat. Awesome. Molly's been working remotely for 5 years. And your husband for 10 plus years. That's awesome. Trenton, wow, tripled his salary by going remote. That's really cool. Benefits to family unit and reinforces the work to live rather than the live to work. I love that mantra. Okay, awesome. Looks like we have a lot of proponents for remote work here. We love to have you. Some more organizational benefits of remote work are talent attraction, retention, like Paul had mentioned earlier, workforce diversity, access to talent outside of a geographic area. So Trenton's brother, he lives in a rural town, but he now works for a company in New York. That company in New York, if they didn't allow remote workers, they wouldn't be able to have, trans talented brother working for them. They wouldn't have that same diversity. Well, some other organizational benefits are savings from reduced overhead costs and utilities, business continuity during weather or pandemics, and the ability to accommodate employees with disabilities, which is very important. The societal benefits of remote work are well-paying and diverse jobs in rural areas, like Trenton's brother and many others. Even me, I live in Logan, Utah, and I'm going to college full-time, but I'm also working full-time. And because I can work remotely, I'm able to work from college campus, or if I need to stop by and work from a cafe or anywhere, I'm able to do so because of this job that I'm able to have that flexibility with. Parents are more available for children, which, as one of you had said, increases a strong family unit. Parents and community members are more able to volunteer locally and have higher commitment to their community, their church, whatever you're involved in. There are fewer cars deteriorating the roads, less traffic and air pollution, which I think we can all get behind. And it helps the continuity of business operations. So all around, as a society, remote work helps improve all ships. And when all ships are rising, everyone's happy, right? So yeah, I guess the question here is share in the chat the benefits of remote work that you've employed or that you've experienced already. And you have been. Looks like a lot of you have been able to find benefits of remote work. Molly says that her son has a significant disability and is working full-time remotely. That's amazing. Not commuting is huge, saves so much time and stress. Yeah, I do miss sometimes podcast listening while I'm driving, but I can do that from my own home anyway. So saving the commute and being a little bit more comfortable. I love that.
Awesome. Well, despite the unique challenges, really sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead. You go.
That's okay. So as time went on, we saw these issues in Utah. We saw the issues that low economic diversity, our rural areas were suffering, but so we started the Rural Online Initiative. Paul did actually, and it has been a huge success in our state. And as we would do press releases and as we published our results, there were more and more people from other states asking to join in on the affiliate program. And we have a few of those people here today. We have Andrea Bowman and Maxine. They are from North Dakota and they are affiliate states with the ROI program. We also have Brenda from Iowa and Christina from Washington. She had mentioned earlier that Washington, WSU is partnering with the Rural Online Initiative, and that's how they're helping rural areas in their state, which is really cool. And we're glad to have you here. Our course teaches people, or the participants, that or the skills that they are required, that they need to function successfully as a remote worker and how to find a remote job. So a few things that they'll learn remote skills from experts. They'll access the only personalized research-based remote work training program and curriculum. They'll enjoy individual career coaching, benefit from experiential and remote work learning environment. We go over 9 total modules. The course is a month long. A few of those modules include Workday. So what does an average workday look like for a remote worker? How to set up your computer, your webcam, what kind of chair you should buy, and how to schedule meetings and add them to your calendar. We also go over productivity and time management, how to mitigate interruptions, how to work with a team and what the proper netiquette is. We also go over virtual careers as well as remote job development. A lot of people, they experience when they're remote working, they're getting passed over for big opportunities, which is very unfortunate. But this part of this module is helping them, get on their bosses like radar and be able to advocate for themselves for those big opportunities. As an affiliate of the ROI program, these are some of the few things that we would provide you. So we provide an established program with proven impact, research-based curriculum, subject matter expertise, and affordable access with streamlined billing. In return, you would receive a remote work strategy for your state, an innovative human capacity building program, CRM access and data dashboards, and ongoing training and support. Let me post this article in the chat. It's one of our Joe articles, if you want to take a look. The benefits of becoming an improved affiliate will help you and your land-grant institution to provide rural residents with remote work training curriculum, provide career coaching and mentoring to rural residents, bring economic diversification to the rural counties that you chose to serve, expand your community organization skills, address intergenerational poverty, like Paul had mentioned earlier, and you'll be able to join a national network of land-grant universities that are applying remote work as an economic development strategy. So we have monthly meetings, and all of our land-grant universities that are on board, all of our states, we chat and we talk about, what's going on in their state and what are they doing to help mitigate it, and how have they seen success with their program in their state. And it's been really cool getting advice and sharing tactics and seeing progress and improvements in every state. So there's an application process to becoming an affiliate. I know you're probably wondering, how do I do this? This sounds awesome. So first is we want you to just look at our website. It's remoteworkcertificate.com/affiliates. Review the FAQs there. And then step 2 is to take the Certified Remote Work Professional 4-week course. The cost is $149 per participant. This will just enable you to see, what is this course about? Is this actually what is going to help my state? Do they teach what they say they teach? Kind of putting us to the fire there. You can look at it, make sure that it's what you want, and complete the course. Step 3, if you want to continue, you'll schedule a meeting with me. I'm the affiliate program coordinator. And there we'll go over, your plans for program delivery. If you were to implement this in your state, how this would address your community needs. Staffing, if you guys have questions about staffing, how you can maybe get funding or grants or things like that. What is your target demographic? So age, are they rural? Are they urban? Do you want to target more remote workers, or do you want to target leaders? Because that's also an option, like Don had mentioned earlier. We'll help you learn how to form partnerships. So if there are businesses that are hiring remote workers, you can help them be aware of this program, and you can become a pipeline for them of good applicants to join their business. Step 4 is making the decision to become an affiliate. If you make this decision, if you've gone through steps 1 through 3, then you should be well prepared to, go through steps 4 and 5, because we will either accept or deny your application. But if we've, had the same conversation, the same dialogue, then you should be prepared for step 4. And then step 5 is approval and onboarding. This happens through a series of 3 meetings. We just make sure that we provide you with branding and marketing, logos, website creation. We also help train you on Canvas and make sure we're all on the same page in helping your students to succeed and helping your program and your state. Here is how the extension professionals at other land-grant universities have organized the program. So they have a program manager. That's the main point of contact with me and with Utah. So their job is to take on the coordination role. So if there's any issues, or if they are onboarding new PCs, they're the ones that the new PC would go to get all their information. They're also assigned to attend monthly trainings like we discussed before. And each program coordinator must complete the professional course, which is part of the onboarding process anyway. Each PC is responsible for grading their participants' assignments and meeting with them one-on-one for the career path planning meeting at the end of each course. And we will prepare you for all of that. Yeah, and this is how they've had it set up in the past, and we've seen a lot of success with it. So if you feel like the affiliate program is something that you could get behind, reach out. I am happy to work with you.
Perfect. Me now, right?
Yeah.
Well, Abby, you were doing such a fabulous job. I was filling up steak, so I had to jump in somewhere. Now, Paul mentioned earlier that there are certainly some unique challenges but despite all those, we see a vibrant future for rural communities, not just in Utah, but throughout the United States, where opportunities for rural residents aren't limited by geography, and where people can get well-paying remote jobs through reliable internet connectivity. And if you agree with that, we invite you to do three things. First of all, we invite you to take the Certified Remote Professional course. There's a link I just pasted there. And that's where you go to register for the course. The second thing we ask is that you subscribe to the ROI newsletter. It's because it's the easiest way to keep abreast of the latest issues in remote work, and also the latest research on it. And I will paste that link here. That's where you can subscribe to our newsletter. And then finally, we urge you to review the affiliate webpage to see if you think remote work as an economic development strategy is right for your state. If the answer is yes, let's set up a time to meet, like Abby was talking about, and talk about offering this course there and walk you through the steps that Abby laid out so well. And that link is to the affiliates page is here. And let's see, Kelsey, were there other questions that we needed to answer before we wrap up?
It looks like we answered most of the questions in the chat, but I do invite anyone that has any questions to put them in the chat now, and we can go ahead and get those answered for you. Or even open your mic if that's easier. Give everyone just a few moments to kind of type up any questions they might have.
I was going to see if I could get a flyer for the presentation. So Molly, I was talking to Molly about a presentation about remote work as a accommodation. So I'm going to see if I can find a link or attach the document for that. So if anybody's interested, that'll be this Wednesday.
Great.
So Jake Marino, he's on the call here, so he might have a better access to the link. So
I would point people to our course page. So on our remoteworkcertificate.com, we also have a course that's all about helping professionals negotiate remote work arrangements with their boss. And then we have more courses coming soon that are in the works related to dealing with a hybrid work environment, as well as how to learn a specific skill of technical sales. And so that's been in partnership with a partner who's needing to hire about 1,200 people in this year. And so we have about another course coming out starting next year, which is about a 45-hour training that will get you ready and guarantee an interview and get you on your way as a sales development representative. So more courses they're always forthcoming, and we continue to even reach out to youth in our 4-H program across the state and connecting them with through interviews and really career exploration, so they know what jobs are available, what jobs of the future. If they want to continue to work and they're interested in, say, agriculture, then there's opportunities to work remote from their rural community.
And we did get another question in the chat. It's from Lisa. She asked, is it appropriate for one person within Extension to participate, or are the affiliates needed to be signed off by a dean?
You know, a lot of times deans, Extension vice presidents, deans will reach out to us and say, hey, I'm interested in doing this and adopting this for our state. You know, and how do we get started? And so we direct them to our affiliate page, and then they're not usually set up to lead that initiative, and so they find the person at their institution that they can connect us with, and then we work with that person. But again, we have several that they didn't ask permission from their dean to participate. As faculty, they have the autonomy to adopt programs and on their own to address community needs. They've been empowered that way, and so we welcome Extension leaders and as well as Extension professionals who, if you identify with the needs that we share, that we're doing here in Utah, again, they're not unique. And so if you think that this is a good fit, some land grants, they offer the course, we offer it 10 months out of the year, but others are quarterly. And so it's up to your own capacity, your own frequency that you can provide this, whether you're a one-person show or whether you can formulate a task force to help you on this.
Great. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll move on to the next part of the workshop. So thank you guys again for sharing about that program. It's definitely important during times when everything seems to be going virtual. So thank you again. Next, I'll go ahead. I'm going to ask everyone to please take our 1-minute feedback survey. This helps us to better understand how we can improve our next program center stage workshop. It's really just 4 quick questions and takes only about a minute. And some more next steps include, first, if you haven't already, please sign up for an account with Connect Extension. Here you can find even more resources, including recordings from past workshops and events, just like this one, as well as some other fun tools too. And we also have 2 other monthly workshops for you all to register for. These are actually exclusive to Extension Foundation members only. The first is called Extension Skills, and it provides an opportunity for Extension professionals to build capacity with tools, processes, and various tech skills training. That's every second Thursday of the month, starting at 2 p.m. Eastern. And the second monthly workshop is called Dynamic Discussions, and that's centered around an important, timely topic to help build capacity and share amongst cooperative Extension professionals. This workshop's every 4th Thursday of the month at 2 p.m. Eastern. And I'll post the link in the chat for you guys all to register. And our next program center stage workshop will be led by Fred Schlutt, a catalyst with the Extension Foundation, and David Warren from Oklahoma State University. And it's featuring helping people find answers using artificial intelligence. You can find more information and registration here. Put that link for you guys too. And that's all. So thank you so much for attending. I'll be sending an email that will have the recording to the Zoom meeting, and we'll share any resources that were discussed today. Please reach out if you have any questions, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.